we have a small movie introducing the concept of the Institute for the Future and the honors program. So I don't have slides. The whole session is interactive. And I would like the technical assistants to show the first movie, please.
Our society is confronted with huge problems, such as global warming, childhood obesity, and inequality. The three main branches of sciences in universities can each only offer a part of the solution. That's why the Institute for the Future at KU Leuven wants to provide fertile ground as a research incubator for responsible innovation to address such wicked problems with transdisciplinary teams, including societal actors. As Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them.
We need to learn our way out of wicked problems faster than they can nail us down. And this pushes us towards new methods of collaboration, of sense-making and problem solving. And it's quite obvious that universities need to take a leadership role in the development of this new culture of transdisciplinarity. And the hope is that the Institute for the Future is going to be a catalyst.
The Institute for the Future launched an honours programme, Transdisciplinary Insights, as part of an incubator-track where master's students spend a year working on a variety of submitted challenges.
I was surprised how much progress we made in only 1 year, and also surprised on how open stakeholders are to help us and participate in our challenge.
It was especially rewarding for me because working together with these students from different disciplines, it also taught me new insights about the problem of vaccine hesitancy.
Understanding a wicked problem is already incredibly difficult, and going ahead and trying to solve it seems virtually impossible. In my opinion, it's astonishing how far open-mindedness, collaboration and critical thinking in a team with like-minded people from different disciplines can take you.
So far, 60 master's students have completed the programme from 10 disciplines and 12 countries on 6 different challenges. One of these students started a PhD, bringing one project into the post-incubator. 25 stakeholders are involved, from universities, industry, society, government, and environment. It's remarkable how transdisciplinary teams have managed to bring about eye-opening and sometimes mind-blowing insights into what had previously seemed insurmountable challenges. The Institute for the Future would like to invite you to be part of this transformation in research, education and society by proposing or sponsoring a challenge. With your support, projects can start and grow.
So now you're all introduced to the Institute for the Future and the honors program. And the whole session will be an interactive session. The little video that you saw is from a few years ago. So we are, in the meantime, we are like double the number of students and projects started. But this interactive session has been designed by the three of us. I'm a professor at the University of Leuven and 2 students. But while I'm introducing the students, we would like you to give your thoughts, or let's say your opinion. We have a Mentimeter for you. Dominique is now introducing the Mentimeter, so please go to www.menti.com and use the code that you see there on top, the numerical code, and start voting for these questions. So while you vote, I'm going to introduce the students. So Dominique, can you very briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. Hi, I'm Dominique. I'm originally from the Netherlands, and now I'm studying at KU Leuven, and I'm finishing up my research master's in psychology. And in the context of the Transdisciplinary Insights program last year, I worked on the challenge called STEAM in Higher Education. So indeed, as was said in the introduction, it's part of the European STEAM Plus project, which aims to innovate higher education. And my team ended up creating a game that encourages students to engage in transdisciplinary thinking, systems thinking, and critical thinking.
Thank you, Dominique. Ariel, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, good morning. My name is Ariel Pacific. I'm originally from the US and I'm currently joining the call from the US. I am finishing up my master's in social and cultural anthropology. And for the Transdisciplinary Insights Honors Program, I was part of the Inclusive Environments Challenge, where we went into the Bartcom community in Leuven, Belgium, and worked with community stakeholders and community members to imagine what a more inclusive post-COVID Bartcom would look like.
Okay, thank you. So we don't have any votes yes right now, but I'm going to start anyway. So please continue voting while we are doing the interview. Okay, it starts. While we are doing the interview, the votes will change. But in the meantime, we're going to tell you a little bit about how this goes, what the strengths are, etc. So the first question is, students learn to find the correct solution to a complex problem. Maybe Dominique, you can start. We see here the vote is 3.6, so on 5. This means that on average, people seem to agree with this. What's your take on this, Dominique?
I understand that maybe it would seem to be something that people would vote highly for, but I would actually give this a lower score, more like a 1 or 2, because complex problems don't really have a correct solution. There is not one solution. There might not even be a solution. And if you try to find a solution, you might then influence other problems. So yeah, it's more complex than this, I would say.
Thank you, Dominique. Ariel, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I agree with Dominique. I think going into this project, we may have rated this a little bit higher, or going into this year, maybe we would have thought somewhere around a 3, but going through the process, I completely agree. I think it's more of a 1 or 2, something that I think I've commented on before, is that with the idea of a solution, I feel like it brings a certain level of finality. Like once you've worked on something, you've resolved it, you can move on to something else. And I think by definition, complex problems aren't something that you can just work on and then move on and do something. I think it is something that's ongoing and processual, and you need to continue to engage with them.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. So the point we want to make with this question is that complex problems don't have correct solutions. They have solutions that fit well for one or the other stakeholder, and these can have opposing interests. So basically, you have to iteratively go through working towards a solution. You never end at the solution. Thank you. So let's, Dominique, can you continue sharing your screen? We lost Dominique. Well, let me, in the meantime, there you're
Perfect.
Can you share the screen again?
Yeah, I should be sharing again. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Then the next question is, students learn to approach a wicked problem from different perspectives from the start. So Ariel, I will start with you this time. Ariel, can
This
you...
one, yeah, sorry. This one is a bit tricky. I think going into it, I would probably rate this one closer to maybe a 3. I think from the start we went into this project and we all came in with our different perspectives, our disciplinary knowledge, and then also our individual backgrounds, which contributed to what we brought to the team. I think we had this expectation that all of these perspectives were very different. Maybe also in my challenge for inclusivity, it brought people with almost like these assumptions about what inclusivity would look like. But I think we were challenged even more throughout the process to think of things from different perspectives. So I think it came almost a little bit later than from something being done from the start. So I would probably give this closer to a 3. I do think it was there, but I think it came almost a little bit later.
Thank you, Ariel. Dominique?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's something that definitely we learned from the start, but it was really something that we had to learn. It's not something that necessarily came easily to us.
Yeah, thank you, Dominique. So the point here is that you actually have to try to involve different points of view from the start in addressing a wicked problem. And it's really difficult sometimes to do that, to not stay in your disciplines and to try to develop these different ways of seeing things. So the next question is, students learn to value the knowledge of societal actors. Dominique?
Yeah, I would definitely also give this a 4 or a 5. So like I mentioned, for my challenge, we ended up creating a game. And this was really something that nobody in my group had any experience with. So we heavily relied, or I would say probably one of the most useful sessions we had was actually with not really a company, but like a startup who created a game about money. And they basically, we told them about our game and we did sort of a co-creation workshop, and they gave us some of the most useful feedback that we've gotten in our project ever. And then other societal actors that were really helpful were actually students that we invited to test our game at some point. And the people we invited were people who had applied to be on our team, but who didn't get selected. And those 2 sessions are probably the ones that helped our game the most. So yeah, definitely valuable.
Thank you, Dominique. Ariel?
So from my perspective, I would say it's definitely a 5. I may be a bit biased here because my challenge was inclusive environments. So by definition, we were engaging with as many societal actors as we possibly could in different groups, especially since we were going into a community where only a few of us were in any way related to. So we really relied heavily on the community organizations that were there. We relied on our engagement with community members. So it was a very significant process. And throughout it, I think my entire team would agree that the societal actors and people who were present in this community, their perspective and their knowledge was perhaps more important and significant throughout this process for our challenge and what we produced in the end in our findings.
Thank you, Ariel. So the point we want to make here is that if you approach a wicked problem in a transdisciplinary way, and it's actually the only way that you can properly approach a wicked problem, is that you have to teach the members of the team humility about their own knowledge and try to involve those that are actually in the middle of the problem in creating the knowledge, because they have the best knowledge about the circumstances. So you need all these points of view from the beginning, and That's the big difference between transdisciplinary and interdisciplinary work, that you involve the societal actors from the beginning in understanding and moving forwards towards improving the problem. Then the next question is, it teaches students about the strength of their own disciplines. Ariel, can you enlighten us?
Yeah, I would give this one more of a 3. So I guess it's a little bit close to where things are rated. I think that it gives us a way to almost like situate our disciplinary knowledge in these broader discussions. And then at the same time, it gives us a chance to recognize where we need assistance and to challenge the knowledge that we bring in with our own discipline and seek for ways to supplement it. I think it can almost contextualizes it in a broader sense, and it highlights how much we need these other perspectives, but it gives us a way of looking at how what we're learning can contribute and shape something, but not necessarily stand on its own.
Thank you, Ariel. Dominique?
I agree with Ariel, but I would probably give this an even lower score, probably like a 2, because the whole point of the program is to try and break free from these disciplinary boundaries and to create something that's more. So I understand that it's gotten a high score, but I would give it a 2.
Thank you, Dominique. So the point we want to take to make here is that when you work in a transdisciplinary way on a wicked problem, you not necessarily strengthen your own knowledge in your own discipline. You basically try to understand the problem from other people's point of view. So you strengthen your own knowledge in other disciplines more than in your own discipline. Of course, you also improve thinking along in your own discipline also. So next is, it challenges students to think about different ways. I'm sorry, I have to shut this down. It challenges students about thinking in different ways to contribute beyond disciplinary knowledge. Can I give the first word to Dominique now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would definitely give this a 4 or probably even a 5, because this is exactly what the program is about, I would say, to basically what I just said, to transcend these boundaries of your own discipline and learn these skills that are transferable to so many different contexts. Again, for our game, this was super relevant because we basically in certain ways had to really start from scratch and figure out how to do certain things. So yeah, definitely a 5 for this one.
Thank you, Dominique. Ariel?
I would also give this one a 5. Everyone in my team, probably the other teams as well, we had to build off of existing skill sets we had, but we also had to work really heavily on the skill sets of others that went beyond disciplinary bounds, especially engaging with community members. Some of them, we had some team members who worked with kids. They haven't even specialized in a discipline yet, but their knowledge was equally valuable. So bringing our own skills and the skills of the people around us together and their ideas definitely went beyond the disciplinary bounds of what any of us brought in. And we produced a video for our project, and nobody in our team is specializing in media studies, video production, or even art. So we really had to build on our skill sets to produce something based on what we already had from outsider disciplines and working with other people to really pull that together.
Thank you, Ariel. I think this is obvious from what I hear from the students. I don't have to stress how important this is in our honors program. And linked to this question is the next question. Students learn to value non-traditional academic skills. So Ariel, can you expand a bit?
Yeah. In addition to producing the video, we each kind of filled smaller roles in our team as we got to know each other and moved on a little bit more. throughout the year, we each brought something almost like different that had nothing to do with academia. I record a podcast for a company in Brussels, and I used that to do kind of the narration and voiceover for the video, which was a kind of non-traditional academic skill. We also had team members who came in and added a layer of like time management. It really challenged us to think of different things we could bring into this project. And then once again, engaging with community members and hearing from them on different ways we could look at it and having our own kind of like skill set and perspective challenged by them, because they approached the problem in a very different way, and they then taught us the skill set and the way they looked at things.
Thank you, Ariel. Dominique?
Yeah, for me, this is also definitely something that I'd give a 4 or 5. For our team, I guess a really important skill, but maybe basic, was also just communication skills. Like, how do you navigate a transdisciplinary team, and indeed, how do you engage with stakeholders? And we also actually had to get a little bit creative in creating our game, and we end up using a lot of knowledge from just stuff that we see all around us, the board games that we grew up with or video games that we've been playing, and we took inspiration from all of those things and incorporated that into our game. So yeah, indeed, these non-traditional academic skills were very important.
Yeah, thank you. So these are in fact kind of skills, especially building a team dynamic, communication, showing some leadership skills. These are the skills that you actually need in real life, on top of your academic skills. So this is an important aspect of the honors program. Then the next question is, student teams need to be instructed by coaches. What do you think, Dominique?
I think this is an interesting question, because at least for my team, we had 3 coaches in total, but they really almost just felt like team members. It really felt like we just had 3 extra members on our team, and their inputs were just as valuable to us. So there wasn't really a hierarchy in terms of like them literally coaching us or telling us what to do. But obviously they were already experienced with transdisciplinary thinking and systems thinking. So in those ways, their input was super helpful, and they also helped us to sometimes stay on track if we went on tangents that went on a little bit too long. So I'm not really sure what score I would give this, probably somewhere in the middle. But I would definitely want to emphasize the importance of having coaches that are, I guess, on the same level as the students and not really above them.
Thank you, Dominique. Muriel?
Yeah, I would agree. Our experience was very similar. On my team, we had 2 coaches, one who was involved a little more on the everyday running of all of our meetings. And yeah, they really felt like they were just kind of part of the team. We didn't have as much of a hierarchy, and I agree that it was really helpful with them almost like guiding when we got stuck or when we got caught in a loop of discussion. Something else that's really helpful is they guide us in terms of the timeline for the project. So I would give this maybe a 2 though, because I do think it was a little less of like a coaching role in the way I at least think of it. I think it was more like just another team member in a different role to be filled within the team that didn't feel like coaching in a traditional sense.
Thank you, Ariel. So here it's important to have a coach in a team, just to be mindful of the problems that can arise when approaching a wicked problem in a transdisciplinary way, and to make sure that the students don't get stuck in those problems, and to take them beyond. So not really to give instructions. So that's why we put the question like that. The coaches are not giving instructions, even though that's the classical way of teaching. They are basically taking the team along through the process and letting the team discover the process the way it's unfolding. We still have another Mentimeter question. There's no time to really go through that in detail, but can I ask you, Ariel, if you want to vote, please vote. But I would like both of you, Ariel and Dominique, to go talk to each other about these different questions and not too long, because we have 5 minutes left. Can you talk to each other?
Sure.
Yeah, there were definitely moments of frustration on our team. I think it just comes from this being part of almost like an academic program. You have timelines, deadlines are supplementary to an academic program. You have deadlines, exams, all of the other things going on. Then you factor in a pandemic, technological issues. There were definitely moments of frustration that came up.
Yeah, it's completely the same for our team. And also, like what was really nice about the program is that there wasn't really a set end goal, at least for my team. We were really free to just create what we wanted, but that also sometimes led to frustration because we felt like we just kept talking without like getting anywhere or making something tangible. Yeah,
that's a typical feeling of entering a transdisciplinary team. It always brings big moments of confusion and feeling lost and frustration. That's a normal part of the process. And then, did you have fun?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, my team did. I hope yours did too, Ariel.
Well, I imagine it's difficult not to have fun when you're creating a game, right? But yeah, my team definitely had fun. We tried to build in these icebreakers that kind of helped us get to become a team. And there was one where we all had to dress up as a famous painting and had 5 minutes to do so. And it really set the tone for kind of where our team went after that.
So the fun came more from the team building, from the team dynamics.
It was actually, we had that at the beginning of a meeting where we like voiced our frustrations. And I think it almost like they went together really well. It like allowed us to then move forward because we had the fun, the venting of the frustration. And then after that, I think we were a lot more relaxed with each other. So we could find ways of having more fun throughout the process because then we could start meeting more with community members after that moment by random chance.
And anxiety. Was there any anxiety among the team members?
I experienced, there was definitely anxiety among the team. We talked about it on my team. I was actually the one person on my team that wasn't able to meet anyone in person. I was finishing up my fieldwork for my thesis when we started, and then things closed down. And yeah, like by the end, there was no point in me even being physically present, which was challenging as an anthropologist. Yeah, there was anxiety about how we could become a team and how we would engage with the community with the pandemic.
Dominique?
I think in our case, like for some reason that I can't really explain, our team just hit it off from the start and we all got along really well, and very quickly there was a sense of team cohesion. So we didn't have that sort of anxiety, but I think it's more related to what I already said about frustrations. That sometimes we were a bit anxious, like, are we even going to be able to present something at the end of the year? Because we just keep talking, we keep thinking about things, but when are we going to actually create something?
Yeah, that's really typical. So don't be afraid of anxiety. You can get yourself over it, and it's setting expectations at a realistic level. Yeah. Then about the aha moments, what do you have to say about that? Did you have one?
Ariel, did your team have like a distinct aha moment, or did it come more gradually?
I think it came more gradually. I think like I said, the painting, icebreaker, dress up moment was like an aha moment, becoming almost like a team. But in terms of the process for our research, I think at different moments there were different ones. So in terms of how we would put things together and like what we found in the discussions, and then it would all kind of come together. And I think there were the separate aha moments that each person had throughout the process about like where they seemed to cross that that transdisciplinary moment where they realized what they were taking away beyond their own disciplinary knowledge. So those were also really, really important.
Yeah. Go, Dominique.
I think it was actually the same for us. There wasn't really, I can't really pinpoint a collective aha moment, but we had smaller ones. Like maybe we read something in a book that made us think like, oh, whoa, we can do this. And there was one specific meeting that sort of catalyzed our whole project where we had this, we called it the crazy brainstorming session, where we sort of decided that there was just no boundaries. We were just going to brainstorm and you had to come up with the craziest possible idea. And that ended up in the end leading us towards this game. So that was super helpful. But yeah, it was all these small moments together that led to our final project.
Yeah. So different teams have different dynamics. Some teams really do have an aha moment, but every person can have it at a different time, or sometimes a team has it all together. But that's a very grateful moment that the team members have. Yeah. But about the time.
I'm sorry, I was just going to interrupt you because I was wondering, because I think you have one small, I don't know why my camera is off, but the host, I don't know, turned it off. I don't know what I did, but well, no, but I think you have a small movie clip to show us. And there was also a question, maybe we can do it afterwards. I think it's from Anne. It's about basically the role of the coach. Yeah? What is he or she doing, instructing? And I also have loads of questions because this is exactly the topic I'm interested in. But let's watch the video first.
Yes, thank you.
Solving global problems and making an impact can seem unachievable sometimes. Issues such as poverty, climate, inequality, and multicultural integration. And there it is difficult to gain a perspective if you're barely taught any practicalities or if you're not provided the right tools. Lucky for us, KU Leuven actually has such a tool, the Transdisciplinary Insights Honors Program, in which diverse teams receive the space and guidance on solving wicked problems. All of them aim to provide incremental insight and perspective about how to achieve societal impact. Hereby, the complexity itself does not define the character of the wicked problem. It is rather the different kinds of challenges it includes. Complex problems are highly dynamic and rank the problem solution secondary compared to the problem understanding, which plays a more central role. During the last months of the project, we learned our personal definition of what transdisciplinarity means, especially the knowledge transfer across various disciplines while we approached the context altogether. So last year, when we started this project in September, physical meetings were still possible, regarding the distance measures, of course. Only the first of a series of workshops was held in person, and that was also the only time when we ever met in person. These circumstances brought students and coaches even closer together. We had to rely on new ways to work and meet in groups, and it was important for us to find a form of adaptive collaboration in order to reach the people involved with these wicked problems. For example, the local community in the Waardkom area in Leuven, we had to accustom to innovative and digital ways of collaborating.
This year, TDI hosted 4 challenges: STEAM in higher education, inclusive environments in a post-corona context, coronavirus pandemic preparedness, and open science. The teams were truly transdisciplinary, with the disciplines ranging from anthropology and sustainability to marketing and engineering, and our home countries being spread across the continent. While all were within one program, each had its unique direction, process, and outcome. For example, STEAM in higher education team has developed an educational game that promotes transdisciplinarity, system, and critical thinking, while the inclusive environments in a post-corona context has conducted extensive research while constantly collaborating with the local community. But despite our differences, we all had something in common. We all felt that participating in the challenges was a lifetime opportunity. This innovation lab was very different from the typical courses and did not have predefined guidelines. And we could set the goals ourselves by learning from our teammates and coaches along the way. We got to work together with people we otherwise wouldn't have met, hear different perspectives, learn ways of thinking to address wicked problems, and co-create something that can make a real impact.
Today's wicked problems were not caused by an individual actor, nor can they be solved by one. By definition, wicked problems are complex and therefore have no single solution. Albert Einstein was correct when he said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. The Transdisciplinary Insights Honors Program trains researchers to look at the world and a challenge through various lenses and to listen to the voices of others. The program is an incubation space for brainstorming ideas to address today's wicked problems, developing a network of actors with various skills in and around the university, and taking action and testing out small-scale projects that can contribute to incremental change. These year-long projects address some of the most pressing challenges of today. The outcomes of some of these projects are presented to policymakers and turned into PhD research, leading to more tangible societal impact. But perhaps more significantly, it challenges its participants to think more broadly about how to approach the wicked problems we will face in the future, because those too will likely require collaborative and innovative approaches.
Thank you so much again for this elaborate video. My camera's still not working, no idea what happened, but I'm there. Oh wait, let's see if this works. I don't know. No, it's not working. Well, so one of the questions is this video open source, so can we use it? Can we share this one?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, awesome. And like I said before, Anne was also saying something about, about instructing versus coaching. And do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, actually in the Mentimeter we had a third one, which was about the coach. So the role of the coach is, I already explained it a little bit, is to make sure that the team stays on a transdisciplinary track and to take them along beyond bottlenecks if their teams experience bottlenecks. And sometimes it's good to stay a bit and explore and see how it goes, to learn, but the project has to continue. So the coach has to kind of feel when he or she has to take the team beyond the bottleneck, so to really move forward in the process, because at the end of the year they have to present something, even if it's only their thoughts. So it's it's more like a gentle hand steering the team, well, not steering, let's say accompanying the team forward. I can continue talking, but there are maybe other questions.
And maybe to add to that, just one thing, it at least for my team, it really felt like the coaches had a supporting role more than a guiding role.
Yeah. So as long as we don't get other questions, maybe Ariel, you can also.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, like our coaches felt like they were just another team member, but in other moments, they also felt like they could be almost like an advisor or a mentor, someone you could go to with specific, when you needed advice on how to move forward, but it wasn't necessarily something where we were told, this is how you have to go, or this is what we're going to do. They let us almost like, they helped us, or they helped create a space where we could come up with the solutions collectively, rather than one person telling us what the direction.
Yes, that's actually very important what you say. Creating a safe space to experiment is one of the big roles of the coach, to guard that there's not one team member that hijacks the whole team, for example, that there is enough space to listen to the voice of everyone, to make sure that the team also listens to societal actors and brings the societal actors in the process of co-creation. Peter, you were saying that you had questions for us?
Yeah, loads of questions. I was just going to say I take the liberty as a chair to to ask a few questions, but because this is exactly what I'm looking at. My research is mainly focusing on the role of co-creation within social innovation. So how do people collaborate to, well, get societal impact as such? And I think if I look at my questions, I jotted down quite a lot, but I think it's on three different distinctive things. So it's one is the concept, because I think it was Anne-Mieke who said something about that transdisciplinary is different than interdisciplinary. Okay, of course, but because it's intrinsically combining a research with society. Did I get that right? Is that the main difference for you, or for you all?
Actually, the main difference is not just combining research with society. It's to take society along within your research. So basically listening to the society and considering them as an equal partner in the research process. So accepting that academia doesn't have all the knowledge, that you have to, if you address wicked problems, that you have to actively search out the knowledge in society, to listen to them, to not create solutions that you impose over their heads. I mean, that's exactly what we saw during the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah. More, you want to say something, Dominique, or Leo?
Yeah, something that I think is also an important part of it is how it's a continuous relationship. So you engage with them, but it continues on beyond that. You can continue sharing what you found, discussing what you're thinking, discussing where you're going, to make sure that they're involved in that process. They give feedback. They're invited to these different sessions we work on, just making sure that they are, yeah, like as she said, like another member of this team.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I always call it differently. I always call it like co-creation, a quadruple helix setting or something like things there. But I never made a distinct coupling or sorts with transdisciplinary. So that's interesting. Also, two other really short questions because the time is so sorry for others to keep it up. But so about the process. I mean, how transdisciplinary is it? I mean, because if you look at theory around group creativity, for example, you shouldn't have people maybe from physics together with, I don't know, well, something completely different, because then you don't get the right vibe or so. So how transdisciplinary was this?
We do put these people together in the same team. Exactly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So that's actually the purpose. So we put them in the same team. And the big frustration actually comes from what you say, is that people don't understand each other. But by putting them together and guiding them in their transdisciplinary way of dealing with the problem, they start to understand the language of the other disciplines. And that's so you create a willingness to drop your own disciplinary thinking and to actually listen to other disciplines and to society actors. Ariel and Dominique, you want to say something?
What also helped, at least for my team, but I'm not sure if this was the same for the other teams, is that we read two books, one by Kelly Chapman and one by Eileen Christ, but I'm not sure if this is required literature for all the teams. One about systems thinking, one about complexity thinking. And that really gave everyone in the team at least a little bit of a common reference frame to do certain discussions.
Ariel?
Yeah, I think also kind of going back to the different disciplines, I think there were specific moments where people from our team realized that their own discipline and their own knowledge didn't have the answer. And looking at something that seemed like it could be approached one way from your own background or discipline and knowledge seemed straightforward enough. But if it was straightforward and could be successful, it probably would have already been done and these wicked problems would have been solved. So by bringing people together with like these very different perspectives, it lets you do something like the crazy brainstorming where you just throw out these ideas and just see where they go, because we're not putting everything into practice. We're just trying to say, like, what can we take from these crazy things and everything we all have in these discussions, and what can we take out of it to move forward, and how do we edit that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same. Go crazy. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit too skeptical now and then, but good to hear. Okay, final question, and then really brief answer, but I'm really curious. Do you think the outcomes of these, well, smaller projects, transdisciplinary projects, are scalable? Because that's always difficult, huh?
Yes.
So is it there because it's a wicked problem, so you have a solution in a specific context, but do you think you can scale them up sometimes?
Yeah, so that's actually the biggest problem that we have, is how to scale up. And basically what we are experiencing, I'm not sure whether the students can say something about that, but what we are experiencing is that you are doing things iteratively, and you're scaling up by expanding through iterations. And scaling up is never going to be applying the same solution everywhere. It's basically exploring solution space for particular local communities. And so if a team thinks, okay, this is a solution, well, it might be a solution for this community, but maybe not at all for another community. You have to continue the transdisciplinary process while scaling up, because the solution, or let's say the approach, will morph and will adapt to the circumstances of the team. If you have different team members, even from the same community, you might end up with a different approach, which is not a problem. Huh?
No, like you were saying in the beginning, there is not only one solution, but it's not the solution. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Any of the other two want to respond to that? Otherwise, I'll finish up.
I think something that might be perhaps a bit more scalable rather than the outcomes of the individual projects is really just like the way of thinking about it. And I think on a broader scale, if more people in research groups are doing a similar kind of thing where you're engaging with community members in an ongoing process and co-creating and continuing that relationship, that in itself could become scalable. And if there's a way to connect them, that could then maybe somehow contribute to a broader understanding of how to make some of the outcomes more scalable. But until there's a wider scale research of these transdisciplinary projects in these various communities, it's very difficult to say this will work and we could copy and paste and put that there.
Sure. Okay, I think we have to leave it here because we're already way over time. Sorry, my fault, because I have more questions to ask, but maybe another time. Thank you so much for giving us this inspiring talk and show us this great example of transdisciplinary work. I think we all learned a lot. I especially like the interactive character, having the interviews and responding back and forward. So great co-creation in a live setting, to say so. Okay. Oh, connection lost? No, well, weird. Okay, well, maybe we see each other in another session. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you so much.